vous êtes en
Off-duty personnel are responding to the Burnsville High School, 600 East Highway 13.
Okay, we've got fire on 2 floors. We're arriving. We'll be starting a supply line and laying a line into two different locations in the building. Responding units, Craig, we need you guys to suit up as soon as you get here and report in on Channel 4. We're about 30 seconds away. Patriot Medic 1, sit up here, tools, and report to south.
On Tuesday, the 26th of April, 1994, at approximately 1 p.m. in the afternoon, scene examination began with Burnsville Fire Department, State Fire Marshal's Office, Burnsville Police, and ATF agents. Upon initial scene examination and excavation, right in this location indicated by the torn carpet, was found a piece of concrete approximately 12 inches square and about 4 inches in depth laying right inside on the carpeted area here. If you look at evidence to the door, this center door frame arm is bent, and we also have deep nicks in the top where it's felt that the piece of concrete came through the outer door, hit the inner door glass, fractured that, landed on top of this bar, put the gouges in the bar, and then dropped to the floor where the torn carpet has been indicated in the film.
Okay.
At that point then, if we proceed to the north down this corridor, we'll see evidence of flammable liquid pours to the carpeted area of the hallway, which begins just about in this area. A sample was taken and submitted for a lab analysis to the BCA from right in this location here, where we feel that we did have accelerant drop to the floor.
Okay.
Then as we proceed to the north in the corridor, you'll see here that we have definitive accelerant liquids burns patterns to the floor. Starting here and going approximately the center of the corridor up to about this general area. And then each of these little locker rooms locations also will show evidence of flammable liquids poured to the floor. For example, you can see the area here, which we feel is a definite pour pattern. Also the area here, running north and south for approximately 5 feet and about 12 to 14 inches in width, is also indication of a liquid being poured to the floor. And the pattern zigzags back and forth towards this window and door area here, and terminates right about in this area within this locker section.
Okay.
Pour pattern also from this point makes a semicircle in this direction to cover the corridor carpet area, and then progresses down amongst this locker area also. And the majority of these locker areas will show on film the pour patterns coming from the hall, corridor system, into the locker area, out of that locker area, down the hallway, and into the next section of lockers. Here you'll see evidence of a sloshing type motion of fuel going back and forth from locker wall to locker wall, up to about the edge of the window frame, and then back to the center corridor.
Okay.
Once again, you pick up the trail in this general area, and we come into the lockers again with a basic pour pattern in a Z formation back and forth across the carpet up to the windows again. You come out of that locker area, the pattern starts again right here, kind of a semicircle almost down the center of the corridor, and enters into the locker space in this area right along this pathway. And once again, that runs pretty much in a straight line up to the doorway area to the center section of the main entryway. Zigzag back and forth across the entryway area. This area appears to have been skipped. And then patterns begin to become evident again in the entry to this locker section, going about the center of the floor up to the pipe tunnel chaseway with the cover door open right now. And you can see on the top side of the cover where there was a carpeted material on top of the doorway that this is extensively burned where we feel the flammable liquid or combustible liquid was poured across the doorway or the hatchway and then back down to the main corridor area.
Anything down in there of,
Nothing of any significance down there. This was used to wash the floor, and a lot of our floor washing water went down this tunnel. And the damage to the pipe insulation we feel is from maintenance people getting down in the tunnelway and using that for handholds and step area,
okay.
rather than fire extension. Once again, as we've seen in the previous film footage, pour patterns down the center of the carpeted floor and the corridor. These areas have been covered with a large amount of concrete dust from the ceiling since they were initially excavated, and patterns are very difficult to see. And because of that, we'll just show general film footage rather than definitive areas. But this large pattern in the center of the corridor here is indicative of flammable combustible liquid being poured in the hallway. And then same thing with this area of locker space. You can see an extensive amount of carpet burn off the floor, with a very widespread sloshing or pouring of the fuel product, basically from locker wall to locker wall up to the brick entryway to the main corridor system. Okay, good. Then we'll go up here.
We're on?
The film begins again in the commons area in front of the music teaching room. This is actually the room where the doorway for point of possible entry for our perpetrator comes into the building. You'll see the definitive pour pattern, approximate dead center of the room, running for about 8 to 10 feet and about 12 inches in width, right along this area to the bottom of the stair column. And then we've got indication of a pour at the base of this radiused wall right along here that ran down about 2 feet in width to the top step and then pooled on the second step and ran for approximately 2.5 feet and 3 inches in width right along this particular area here where it saturated the carpeted floor.
Okay.
Other possible areas of a pour within this room are at the base of this support column, where we've got definitive pattern once again of an accelerant poured to the floor at the base of this column.
Okay.
And then we'll go off.
All right.
Here we show the side rear exit door out of the music room where pour patterns were found in this carpeted area around the doors, which were open at the time of the fire. You can see light smoke staining to the doors, and just very minute evidence of an attempted ignition before oxygen starvation occurred through the building due to the large fire in the main corridor system, where the nap of the carpet, where we did have accelerant poured, just started to melt the top edge of the fiber of the carpeted material, and then it extinguished itself, we feel, due to a lack of oxygen to support the combustion. Right in this area around these two doors. And then a very minute amount of what we feel is probably the remains of the product in the container dumped right into this door frame area here. And then we basically feel that at this particular point, the fire's in progress, the perpetrator's out of accelerant, and this door was found to be opened by the first arriving Burnsville police officer to the scene, Officer Klausnitzer, with the Panic Hardware security device, which is the orange device on the left-hand side of the Panic Hardware door, operating device. This was found to be in this type of a position on this door, and this door was partially ajar at the time of the first arriving Burnsville Police Department person. And we feel that this may have been the way out of the building for the perpetrator of the arson.
So then with it in that position, the panic bar would operate and they could get out?
With the locking device in that position, this door is openable from the inside to allow an exit to the exterior of the building.
We're on.
We're showing supporting evidence of what we feel the arsonist attempted to do to allow rapid spread of the fire to other areas of the school by taking doors which are rated doors on self-closing devices, which are required to be closed at all times other than when people are passing through the doorway, where these doors have been propped open, chalked open, or blocked open by various devices to allow spread of hot gas and flame to other areas of the building. In this particular door's case, you can see that this door was open at the time of the fire. We have very light smoke staining on the face of the door, and you can see a white painted wooden chalk device used to hold this door open. This door would normally be closed and latched at all times. It has a pneumatic closure at the top, which is required for area separation and for fire protection. And the next several minutes of film is going to show the number of doors within the auditorium and stage area which have been propped open and chalked open prior to the fire. We'll proceed back into what we refer to as the stage area itself of the school. We did have one sprinkler head activate in this area, and that particular head is almost directly above us here. We don't have evidence of actual fire in here, but we do have what we feel was enough accumulation of hot gas and smoke products to activate the one sprinkler head above us. And the sprinkler head was flowing water during the time of fire suppression and overhaul tactics. And if you look directly behind us here, you'll see another door leading to a storage room behind the stage, which is propped open by a microphone stand. Once again, this is the type of door that should be normally closed at all times. It does have a pneumatic closure, and it's a rated device. If we go up this metal stair column to the second floor storage room area, you'll also be able to see where that door has been left open. This is a mechanical ventilation room, probably for the stage area itself. The door indicates mechanical room. We've got a rated door assembly, pneumatic closure, and some type of a heavy metal cast iron stand holding this particular door open. This was also open during the time of the fire, as indicated by the amount of soot and those types of things on the floor and stacked material in here.
Okay.
You'll see this ring around the floor, about approximately the clean space is about 1/2 inch in diameter with sooting right in the center. We feel that that was created by a stand for a microphone or a light assembly, which is over here, which has a solid base to it. And that would be indicative of that type of a stand assembly. And then here we have another door going back into some type of a light or workshop area for the stage. Also a rated closing assembly, which is propped open by another type of light stand.
Do the same with the metal brick.
We're on.
Okay, now we're still in the stage area itself, where we have a pedestrian door that goes from the stage into the stage workshop. And you'll see that this door also has some light smoke staining on it. At the base of the door we have a sandbag which has been damaged by smoke and is very discolored. And as we move this sandbag away from the door, we should see a clean spot on the floor, indicating that this door was propped open at the time of the fire, because we do not have smoke damage to this area of the floor, which was protected by the sandbag.
Okay.
And then we get to the other side of the concrete wall, which we think is a 3-hour fire rating assembly to separate the stage area from the stage workshop. And we have this particular door chalked open with a big iron device. Looks something similar to a brick or something like that. And once again, you'll see as we move that brick away or that device away from the bottom of the door that this door was open at the time of the fire, because the floor will be clean where the brick protected the concrete from smoke damage. And there's a very definitive outline of that particular scenario.
Okay.
And here we are in the stage workshop, a large double door assembly going out into the stage and auditorium. Also on self-closing devices, indicating this door should always be closed and latched, other than when you're physically going through the door. This door is propped open with sandbags. Also, we feel that this was done to aid the spread of the fire and toxic smoke and hot gas throughout the building. I'll move this sandbag out from the base of the floor, and we should be able to see that obviously this was the case during the time of the fire. And there we can see light smoke staining around the outside of the bag's dimensions, with a clean floor in the area where the sandbag was sitting on the concrete.
Okay.
This side of the door is the same as what we've been talking about. It's propped open with a smoke-stained sandbag, and the floor assembly is clear underneath with a very definite smoke ring around the outside dimension of where the sandbag was placed to hold the door in the open position.
Okay.
As we proceed through the stage shop area, we're going to go back to the corner of the area where we have a rated enclosure, which is used for flammable combustible liquid storage, which is contains items that are used to make props and various things for stage productions. Once again, you'll see this door is propped open by a sandbag. It's on a self-closing device. It's a solid core rated door assembly. This particular room is a rated room. We have a containment dike at the bottom of the door frame. In the event there's spills of any material in this room, that they're contained within the room and not allowed to run out under the floor into the general use area. This sandbag, as it's moved, also shows a cleaner area underneath the sandbag where we had light smoke staining around the outside dimension of the sandbag to hold this door open. This is approximately the furthest point in this area of the school from where the fire took place, and as you get further from the point of, or the area of origin, the smoke staining becomes less noticeable, but nevertheless you do see a very definitive outline of this door being open. Contents of this room. So it's normal type flammable combustible liquids used in a stage shop area. You've got paint remover, lacquer thinner, paint thinner, different types of cleaners, stains, finishes, steel wool pads. We do have a 5-gallon jerry can type gas can in the corner here, which is empty. A small 1-gallon safety can assembly, which is empty. And approximately 10 minutes ago, we did retrieve from this room a 5-gallon safety can as possible evidence, which was removed by myself, State Fire Marshal Investigator Richard Kleiss, from this particular area right here, which is indicated by the by the toe of my boot, where that particular can was sitting. At this point in time, we'll proceed up the stair column, which is located near the combustible flammable storage room from the stage shop, to where we have a series of offices and storage rooms for the drama and productions departments of the school. The hallway will show indications of somewhat significant heavy smoke staining to the corridor. And a number of rooms were blocked open at the time of the fire. Here we have another mechanical room on the second floor area above the stage and shop. Smoke staining on the floor. This particular door is propped open by a red wooden bench assembly. As we proceed further down the hallway, another mechanical room with a door in the open position, also showing smoke staining into the interior of this room. In this particular case, this door is being held open by a piece of rope with a loop on the end of it, which is secured around the exterior doorknob. Is this one open too?
No. There's no smoke.
I would have thought that dropped it. Here we are back on the main floor in the area of the shop and stage area. You'll see heavy smoke staining, heavier smoke staining in this area to the floor and wall spaces than the corridor that we just came from. This is closer to the area of origin, therefore it has received more smoke and heat damage. You'll see once again several doors which are on self-closing devices and rated assemblies which were propped open during the time of the fire. This particular door, there's a pattern in the smoke showing where this particular drop arm may have been located at the time of the fire. Staining to the door, smoke on the interior threshold into what looks like a dressing room.
Okay.
Here we have a doorway going into a room which is referred to as the green room. You can see the small 3/4 inch diameter clean spot on the carpet directly underneath the door prop. showing that this door was also open during the time of the fire. We got heavy smoke staining to the carpeted areas within this room.
No, don't get that.
Okay.
Here we are on the second floor area directly behind the stage and auditorium and the stage director's office and storage room areas. And this is a small script room, as the door plaque indicates. This door is also being held open, showing the heavy smoke damage within this room. Heavy smoke staining on the floor. And in this particular case, this door is not on any type of a self-closing device, but it is a rated door assembly and should have been closed at the time of the fire. And we'll proceed along to the small catwalk area. We must plan on moving. Here we'll see definitive patterns on the carpet where this chair sat, and we've got heavy smoke staining to the floor. This is the theater office room right here. These cardboard boxes have been moved in the last 24 hours. We assume for the purposes of cartoning up salvageable material from within the theater office. They were not here at the time of the fire. But you do see that this door, also, although it is a rated door assembly, it is not on a self-closing device and was open at the time of the fire.
Okay.
The tape will show within this office the amount of sooting and those types of things on the desktops and furnishings. Very thick concentration of smoke and ash. Mechanical room showing a concrete block in front of the door. Obviously you can see the clean mark on the floor where the block sat to hold the door open during the time of the fire. Heavy sooting to the floor, wall and door assembly areas. This particular doorknob and strike plate shows a high degree of smoke and heat damage to that assembly. This door into the control room also was open, indicative of the amount of smoke and carbon